palalimin ang kamalayan sa mga isyong napapanahon, makisangkot at makiisa kasama ang simbahang lingkod ng bayan, ang socio-political apostolate ng Kapisanan ni Jesus. Ito ang Kwentuhang Bayan mula alas 11 ng umaga tuwing Biyernes dito lang sa Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM. Dahil naniniwala kami na posible ang isang mas mabuting lipunan at maaari itong simulan sa isang kwentuhan.
Getting reliable health information about the COVID-19 outbreak can be a lifesaver. In times of crisis, it is essential to guarantee freedom of expression and the right to public information, in particular to counter the spread of disinformation. During the COVID-19 outbreak, only trust official information sources and credible media outlets. Do not share unverified information. This is a message from UNESCO.
Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Sa Blue Eagle kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Artista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugod, todo sa kayon, dunong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, kaning giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan.
Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Rejoice, refresh, renew, and reflect. Join us for an hour of music that uplifts the soul. Listen to your favorite Jesuit music ministry artists. This is JMM Radio. JMM Radio. Get your day's dose of inspirational music. Tune in to JMM Radio every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle ng Manila, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral, at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear.
Do you long for a good spiritual read? Or for literature that not only feeds the mind, but nourishes the soul as well? Do you want to be inspired, feel positive and hopeful about life? Then read The Windhover, the official magazine of the Jesuits in the Philippines. Written by Jesuits and their lay partners, The Windhover features real stories about the Jesuits and their various ministries. Be inspired. Be blessed. Subscribe to The Windhover. For inquiries, call the Philippine Jesuit Aid Association at telephone numbers 426-6001, locals 4890 or 4892. Once again, Philippine Jesuit Aid Association, Telephone numbers 426-6001, locals 4890 or 4892.
Kaibigan, alam mo na ba kung anong dapat gawin upang iwasan at sugpuin ang COVID-19? Iwasang hawakan ng bibig, mata at ilong. Laging maghugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig sa loob ng 20 segundo. Linisin ang mga bagay na palaging hinahawakan. Kumain ng balanse at masusustansyang pagkain. Matulog ng sapat, huwag magpupuyat. Stay home. Sa wastong pag-iingat, ang virus hindi kakalat. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin.
Hello mga katipuneros. This is Father Ro Atilano SJ. Listen to our serving of stories that will inspire you and keep you going. Kaya tara na at lasapin ang masarap na timpla ng buhay. Welcome po kayo sa The Parable Cafe every Tuesdays at 3:30 p.m. only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9.
Bahala sa iyo, kaibigan ko.
The fire we reported at the old fire hall is still burning out.
Do you sometimes feel confused or lost in the complications and complexities of life? Do you feel drained, listless, or exhausted from the daily burdens and responsibilities? Why not seek our campus ministers on air every Tuesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon? Listen to our counselors from the Loyola School's Campus Ministry Office as they ground our lives in our faith, in our school's spiritual tradition. Campus Ministers on Air. Be guided, be inspired, be blessed. Listen to our Campus Ministers on Air. We are now on YouTube. Watch all of our live episodes plus exclusive content in our channel at radyo-katipunan FM. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get the latest updates. Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil.
Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na Ateneo!
Good afternoon, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Nako, may static ako naririnig Talaga, ayan. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Okay. Nandito naman po tayo sa ating palatuntunan. Lunes na naman, alas 5 ng hapon, dito sa radyo-katipunan. Ang programa nating Lundagin Mo, Beybeh. Sir Jovi, kumusta? I supposedly this is our last for this year. So, Merry Christmas na po in advance sa inyong lahat.
Manigong bagong taon.
Oo, manigong bagong taon na rin.
Kaya naman tayo sa ating mga mas matagumpay na mga kabatch.
Oo nga, kaya nga. So, ang hirap mag-isip do December, tapos ano bang magiging episode mo. So, imbis na mag-isip kami ng ikatutuwa ng iba because you can't please everyone, ikatutuwa na lang namin. So, namin ni Sir Jovi because di man kakatuwa. I'm sure after a while, malalaman nyo ba't sa
meron kami. Social ramifications. Papakita ko sa inyo mamaya.
Social ramification. So yun, and then dahil Christmas, we thought of talking to someone which is so beloved to us and so heavenly as her name denotes. Siya ay naging guest na natin minsan dito sa kasama ni bilang alumnary. One of the alumnaries.
Yeah.
Maraming serye tayong ganon. Ngayon parang alumnaries episode na rin ito ngayon. Oo. Pero siya lang ngayon solo.
Nagabala na din natin si Marlon.
Oo, siya. Nagabala natin. Pero ngayon solo siya. Kakusapin natin kasi sabi ko nga nung show nila ni Marlon, no, hindi talaga kasya. Dalawa pa kayo. Isa lang sa inyo hindi na kasya. Dalawa pa. So ang dami nating tinatanong doon na parang hindi na natin maitanong. Pero kaya po namin sila inibitahan. There's so much to learn and understand through them.
Last week pa dapat nag-guest.
Hindi, pero nung guest that
Sondheim show.
Yeah, yes. But I threw a question there na sinagot naman ng mabuti ng ating panauhin, pero Celeste gusto rin daw sagutin. So lahat ng yan at marami pang iba ay miss listening to Celeste. Her radical thoughts, her mainstream thoughts, everything, no? But before that, we also want to learn find out how it has been for her. Kasi napaka-interesante talaga. So kayo po, kilala po namin siya kaya kami na-excite, no? But I hope after 5 minutes of listening to what we're talking about, you get to know.
But she might represent all the Athenians who are also living abroad, di ba? Who are
yes.
now living abroad. Some of our students are abroad. And
yes.
Athenians who are abroad.
Among other representations like Artist abroad or yung mga dating nasa laylay na ngayon nasa sentro na. Kahit ano pa.
Laylay.
Yeah, so initially, dami natin pinag-usapan tungkol sa kanya. Pakilala na muna natin siya para mabati niya rin ang ating mga tagapakinig. Siya ay walang iba, ang aming minamahal at minamahal na kaibigan at kauri. At kauri. Siya ay walang iba kundi si Miss Celesta Bueno.
Celeste Bueno. Celeste
Hello.
Bueno.
So, buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Bakit buongiorno? Why buongiorno?
I am in Florence. I'm not in Paris, ha?
Oo, yung ating display ay Paris. Parang Paris yata isa sa mga pinaka-konkretong simbolo ng Europe. Pero nasa Florence, Italy. Pero ako, magsimula na ako, Sir Jovi. Total, maikli lang naman itong programa natin. Tanong na tayo agad. Florence, kwento mo nga sa amin, nung 1994, bilis na talagang edad, nagsasabi ka na sa amin na pupunta ka ng Germany because meron ng Miss Saigon na magsisimula na. Nakikwento mo na sa ating set ng Oedipus Rex yan where you played powerfully and impactfully the role of Yocasta. And I was playing Oedipus then.
My son.
Your son.
Shows yes. The age gap.
And may naalala ko, hindi pwede ikwento.
By the way, si Liza de la Fuente says hi.
Agad. So, hi Liza de la Fuente. So yun, at kinikwento mo na sa amin noon, that's around mid-1994. mid-year of 1994 na towards the end of the year or sometime after our run ay pupunta ka ng Germany. Pakikwento mo nga from Germany, ngayon nasa Florence, Italy, habang kwento nun how it everything happened and what happened. Yun muna tayo magsimula.
Yan ang kahapon part.
Yung kahapon part.
Well, actually, my kahapon is much longer than that.
Okay.
My kahapon started in Manila, of course. Actually, I started with ACT, Ateneo Children's Theater. So 13 pa lang ako, I already had that connection with theater and with Ateneo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. How can you be part of ACT? Ateneo
Yes,
Children's
I was part
Theater.
of ACT, with Jake Macapagal. And I played the role of Sisa in a play called Bata, and that role was reprised in high school when I directed Noli Me Tangere, and we won best play, best director, best actor or something.
What's your high school, Celeste?
Marinol.
Wow.
So next door neighbor. I've always been in Katipunan. So I've come full circle doing speaking to you on this radio talk show called Katipunan, radyo-katipunan. So it's home. After which, going into Ateneo, I did not actually. I only started singing when I was 18. When I was in Ateneo, because I wanted to join a rock musical, rock opera that Manny Amador, the late Manny Amador, composed. And just because of sheer tapang ng loob, and I never really sang before, I auditioned and I got one of the lead roles, which was the contrabida, of course.
I didn't know that. So you only started singing when you wanted to sing.
Yes, I only started to sing when I'm doing a show. I only started to sing in Ateneo.
Wow.
I never sang before because, I wanted to take voice lessons, and my mom said, sintundado ka naman, ba't ka mag-voice lessons pa? So, sometimes you don't have to listen to everything that your parents say.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
it
the
was a
number
rock
one.
opera. So I'm giving you this background because I think it's interesting to know the path also of theater, from being there and my connection with Ateneo and how it all began. And that's where my musical career started with I Dream of Hexadream. And then we had our band, which, we played at some affairs in Ateneo. After which, when my acting and directing teacher in Ateneo before was Marilu Diaz Abaya, beautiful soul. And she had asked the class to watch 6 o'clock news, the first taping day.
Yes.
Of 6 o'clock news.
You're our claim to fame.
Yes, but it was funny how that came about as well, because we were only watching as students. But then there was, when they were taping, there were some actors, and there was an actress who's, I guess she wasn't really much, she wasn't really an actress or something. Anyway, na-frustrate si Marilu. Sabi, bihisan niyo si Celeste. So they had given me, binihisan ako. And so my first show, I did Chris Aquino, I did a prostitute, I did a rebel, and all those different roles. And that had actually given me a stable income for 3 years. So we did 6 o'clock
you were
news for
still in
3
school.
years.
We were still in school at that time when you were in 6 o'clock, right?
Pretty much at the end of it. End of it. And then at the same time, I started, really going into theater. I did Cats at the Metropolitan Theater, which I hear just opened again. I think Cats was one of the last shows at the Met. So, it's quite exciting to see all of this being revived.
At that time, I always thought there was Riza Ontiveros who was doing Broadway, and there was Celeste who was doing rock. But you're not telling me you only started to sing in college.
Yes, I did. And a lot of people don't know this. So, hindi naman ako kumakanta lang. I used to sing and I used to dance. Sometimes I would dance with power dance. So, having that stable, kasi as an actor naman in the Philippines, it's very hard to be a theater actor and be able to pay your bills or even your gasoline. It is like really for the love of, diba?
Nagkaganyan si Ron, hindi mo sinasagot yung tanong. Paano ka doon napunta sa Germany?
Sabi nga niya, way before leaving for Germany.
Because we're talking about Kahapon. So my Kahapon is quite a long Kahapon. So, so I did a lot of shows in the Philippines, Ramahari. I did a lot of shows with Tanghalang Ateneo and also Tanghalang Filipino, which brought me to Canada on a zarzuela. And then we also did a pop operetta, the first pop operetta in Asia with Dick Lee from Singapore. That made me go around Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong. After which, the third out of the country experience I had was then Miss Saigon, where it was an audition of about 5 days, like a week. There were like about 700 something plus people, and you first had to dance, and you get cut, and then you have to dance again. You get cut. If you make it, then you sing, and then you sing from the show, and then you do German phonetics. So tagal ng process. So we were 23 Filipinos that were taken in sa Stuttgart. That was the premier cast. And it was a cast of about 53, 54 people from all over the world, from Australia, from Canada, US. And the bulk of the Asian cast were Filipinos.
Yeah.
Which is
doon mo nakasama si
Villaver.
Si Rico,
Si Rico Villaver.
Shout out
Robert
kay
Senya
Rico
was also
at
there.
kay Jake Macapagal. They're also my friends.
Yes.
Si Robert Senya, hindi pa masyado, but I know his son. Na nasa band.
So Robert Senya was also there.
Before you
I
go
was
on,
actually one of the older ones already, because some of the, yung mga Kim, syempre mga 17, 18 years old, so mga baby. I was already 28 when I
pero sabi ni Rico, mas matanda raw siya sa'yo.
Mas matanda siya sa akin.
Sabi ko, I don't know how to address you. You look buff and sabi ko. And mas bata ka ba? Kaidaran ka ba ni Celeste? Without having to tell your age.
How can you say that he is younger than me?
No, because we haven't seen him and bukas.
And then
itimambok, But anyway, before you proceed with the German cast, before you proceed with the German cast, bakit ka uli para sa kaalaman ng lahat? Bakit ka legendary at phenomenal dun sa college? Alam, marami namang actors.
Pwedeng sabihin sa radyo-katipunan yan. I'm already telling you.
No, I mean, I think you guys should answer that yourselves. I don't know. I mean,
Si Celeste, multi-talented yan ever since. Magaling yan sa classroom, magaling sa theater.
So, hindi ko alam kung myth o bakit sinasabi nila that you are asked to report to the ads office?
No, it's not. It's not a myth. It's true. I was asked to go to the Dean of Students' office, being reprimanded for what I was wearing in school. And I was shown the handbook and said, you must wear something appropriate to the school or to you. And I said, so who says what's appropriate and what's not?
And what were you wearing ba?
Never mind.
Okay. Well, no, sometimes I would wear hats. I would wear boots when nobody was wearing boots. I would wear leggings.
Before Tessa Prieto Valdez was Tessa Prieto Valdez.
I was the old because it was the start of the women joining Ateneo, no? So I guess a lot of the women, or maybe that's just how it is, wanted to also fit in. So they were all wearing jeans and t-shirt. I never wore jeans. I mean, init sa Pilipinas. It's so hot there. So, I mean, I never wore jeans. So, I'd wear skirts or I would wear shorts. Wasn't naman my usual black shorts.
Ang outfit ng mga bata.
But it was naman, in between. Pero I see naman other girls kind of who were wearing shorts pero hindi naman sila natatawag.
Bakit nga?
Bastusin lang talagang tingin nila sa akin or something.
Speaking of bastusin, but yun na nga, there was something parang you did it somehow may dating na sensual at sexy nung ikaw? Di ko alam eh. So, yun yata eh. And it's very surprising, no, kausap ka namin later on, na, ewan ko, ako nga, wala akong gawang ganito eh. Parang you were telling us, without having to tell everyone.
No. It's true.
I'm actually relatively conservative. Gumano ka pa sa akin nung tinatanong ka namin nung bata-bata.
Well, I had my first kiss when I was 16. Sinampal ko pa siya.
Okay.
When everybody thought I was already de-virginized when I was 13. I mean, what can I do if it comes out like that? Ganun ang dating. I remember Tony Mabesa, who was our director in Cats. And somebody told me in UP, because he was teaching in UP, no? Tapos he was talking about the auditions for Cats. And then he spoke apparently about me. And well, I can't say what he said because it's very malaswa. But just to say that he thought I had a lot of oomph. It's actually on my playbill. That was what was written there. I don't know. I guess it runs also in my family. I mean, my sisters are all and we were kind of carefree in how we dressed. I mean, it's the notion kasi how you dress is how people see you, but it's not everything of who you are. I mean, and I did not want to constrict myself to what people thought was, I remember having a conversation actually with Audie Himora one time. We were doing Ramayana in PETA. And I think there was a lot of, stuff going on about rape and all of that. And he was said, Celeste, aren't you scared that, you might, with, I guess, talking about how I dressed. And I said, well, actually, yung mga na-rape naman, yung mga nakasuot ng yung mga takip and all of that. I think people are more scared. Not to say that I haven't had my experiences of a lot of, what can I say? Not very, what is the right term to say?
I don't know what you want to say, darling. So.
If we can be frank about it, people of molestation. I mean, I have experienced that, not just in the Philippines, mind you, but also in Germany. I mean, it's all over the world anyway. It's, I think, something that unfortunately women have had to live with. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about.
So, how long were you in Miss Saigon? How long was Miss Saigon?
Okay, it was running for 5 years, doing 8 shows a week. So Saturdays and Sundays we had matinees, and then we had only 1 day off Mondays. But the beauty of working as an actor in Germany is that you get 6 weeks paid vacation.
Yes.
And you get paid quite a lot. So for a lot of us actors who are not used to, getting paid a lot of money for being on stage, that was such an amazing experience.
Yun din ang kwento sa akin. Kilala mo si Luz Castro? I don't know kung ano na apelyido niya ngayon. Among the first batches din siya. Sabi niya, ang kaibahan doon parang nasa upper stratang artists doon. Parang yung sa
yes, no. Actually, one thing very interesting as well, talking about Filipinos abroad. When I remember one of you in the maske where you do your hair and makeup, no, there was a flamboyant gay German guy doing makeup and doing our stuff, and then he said, "I didn't know that there were Filipinas like you guys," which meant young, beautiful, talented, intelligent, etc. Because in Germany, the predominant, were nurses, because a lot of nurses went there.
Yeah.
And then actually here in Italy, a lot of them are caregivers.
Yes.
So the stigma, or it's not because they don't know. They were ignorant to that. And I think this is one of the good things that, like Miss Saigon has done, is that they have broken that stigma of na Filipinos are just mail order brides. Ang dami kasing mail order brides din sa Germany eh. So, the stereotype of that. So showing a different, a different face, because there's one thing that the Filipinos are very abundant with is talent. I mean, it's quite amazing. When I go back to the Philippines and I hear the young kids singing, parang nakakahiya kasi ang gagaling, and it's quite amazing. And anyway, so what were we speaking about?
Yeah, so you got your role na sa So by the way,
Yeah, I
Miss
did that
Saigon
for
then was
5
just 3 years. 3 years pa lang yung English version. Mga 3 years pa lang. No? It's very young pa yung Miss Saigon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did that for 5 years. So because we were getting paid quite a lot of money, we didn't have to do other jobs. What we did, on the other hand, we would do benefit shows. So I actually did quite a lot of benefit shows with Jojo or Kiko. We did stuff for AIDS. And we also did in the big theater. It's a theater of ano bang capacity doon, 1,600 ata or something. Where we also did benefit shows and we collaborated with other artists like from Stuttgart Ballet and all of that, and generated quite a lot of money to give to people. So because we had a full orchestra at our disposal, a theater and all the rehearsal rooms at our disposal, and actors who were willing and wanting to do something else aside from, the regular shows, we put up some fabulous, amazing benefit shows. And one of that, which actually I'm very proud of, was a benefit show called Habi, which I did when I was 9 months pregnant. I wasn't allowed to be on stage. It was depicting the history of the Philippines from tribal until modern times. So we only used Filipino music, and we choreographed it, and all the actors were Filipinos, and actors from the US, the States, from Canada, from Australia, but also Filipinos. And it was very nice because they had not grown up in the Philippines. So they did not have a sense of being Filipino. And them doing the show made them proud and realize the heritage. So ang ganda. It was a one-night show.
Because you were an teenager, it's just something that you did because you were exposed to all this because of the community, the AIDS, the LGBT community in
it was all of that. I think one can't really pinpoint one or the other. I'm sure having been in Ateneo and go through man for others, I mean, I guess that was also part of it, but it's not really, you're not consciously doing that because of that. I think everything that we experience in life is something that brings you to a certain point, and it's all of that behind you,
right?
So you take it with you, and you can't really say this is what made me do that. No.
For what you said, you were paying a lot of money, but you also did a lot of benefit shows, and you also had that show for Filipinos there who'd never been to the Philippines, and
yes, and actually, and also shown the Filipinos that were in Stuttgart. They were so proud of us. The Filipinos in Stuttgart, they were so proud of us, and then also the Germans, saying, wow, so this is the Philippines, because they don't really know much about the Philippines, And so that's what we did. And it's also for narcissistic, egoistic purposes, because we needed an outlet, for our creativity. Raul Mitra, Ian Ibarye of Rep, and Raul Mitra, who does all the compositions, arrangements for Regine Velasquez, one of the beginnings of that was him doing a hobby for us. They did all of that. So that was quite amazing.
Anong 2000 2000 na ba to?
When I was 9 months pregnant with Sonata, so that was 1999.
Yeah.
My gosh, how can you be in Europe and not tell me? I was not ever able to see you in Europe.
He was there during that time.
Yes, at that time.
I mean, who came? Yeah, you were. I don't know. Wala pa kasing FB masyado nun eh.
No,
Wala pa
no.
masyadong Facebook nun eh. I remember Ryan Cayabyab, Mr.
Saka minsan kasi
Singh.
snobbish si Celeste minsan. Joke lang. No. Yun ang akala namin dati, but she's so accessible, accommodating sa aming mga younger actors noon. So akala namin talaga masungit. Tapos she's so wala kasang dating when we first met.
Yeah, well actually sa Miss Saigon dressing room, my name, we had dwarfy names, no? Some were called Sleepy, Gassy or whatever, Ditzy. I was called Bitchy. So even later on, it's either you love me or you hate me. And in between is not really, and if you hate me, I'm fine with that. I don't get disturbed with it. It's your problem. I don't make it my problem.
So you became pregnant with Sonata. Ang dinidetect ko dito sa kwento mo, kailan naging mas, I don't know, for lack of a better term, sober at proper, yung sobriety at propriety, kailan mas naging apparent kay Celeste Bueno? I don't know.
Sobriety and propriety.
I don't know. Sabi mo kahit anong tanong namin ngayon. So that's it.
Yeah, well,
dinidetect ko, pinipili ko kasi.
Do you think I'm sober and proper now?
Well,
what Ron is asking is, when you got pregnant, did you have to stop doing the show or?
No.
Yes. No,
that's
actually,
not what I'm asking. We were all when Celeste arrived, lahat kami, kala namin out of the box kami. Tapos nandyan siya. Tapos mas out of the box out of that bigger box we are. So yun nga. So baka yun ang tingin namin. Hindi man propriety and sobriety. Sobra naman yan. More of kailan ka mas naki-mainstream? Baka mas yan ang tanong ko.
Mainstream. Well, I mean, if mainstream.
Tinatanong mo, Ron.
Okay. I think you can say yes. When I had my children, I stayed home. I didn't have, you don't have the luxury of having nannies or maids. It's a freaking full-time job.
Yes.
The hardest gig in the world, I always say. So, my sister, Agnes Bueno, she's a well-known psychiatrist. It had always stayed in my mind what she said, the first 3 years of a person's life is crucial. And so with that in mind, I felt I had to be there for my children for 3 years. Talk about mainstream. Okay, I mean, how mainstream is that? I had a 3-year-old child. We sold our flat in Germany and just decided to move to Italy. And everybody asked, are you going because of work or are you going because of something or whatever? I said, wala lang. Type lang namin.
What?
Germany, Italy. Italy.
But meron kang ng mga investment both personally and dyan sa Germany.
Actually.
But what I mean is job. May security, di pala investment. Di ka ba may security na sa Germany? How can something...
security. The only security we had was we sold our flat. Okay, so we had some money. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had some money to start off with. And my husband was just, he just loved Italy, go back and forth Italy, ganyan. So I got married in Italy, in Montepulciano. It was beautiful. We didn't understand anything, pero it was beautiful. So, and there was always kind of like this, Florence, yeah. So anyway, we just did it. We didn't know the language. We didn't know anybody. We did not know how the healthcare systems worked. Because when we sold the flat, so sabi, okay, we can go now. We can move. Because my husband was lighting Dance of the Vampires, Roman Polanski's Dance de Vampire. And because he did light for the theater. So wala lang. So we just said, okay, let's just go. And then I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I was like, well, let's just do it. Because either you do it, or you end up later in life regretting or maybe wondering what if, which to me is a more disconcerting prospect, is to later on in life think, what if?
Yes.
No?
Yeah,
What if we move? What if ganyan?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sabi nga, well,
Kadiri ang what if, no?
so you might as well just do it. And I mean, and then if it doesn't work out, then you can do other things. I mean, just you know. And so the move. And so I did do, I was home based for 6 years, pretty much 6 years of my life after Miss Saigon. So
during those years, hindi pa naman, ngayon parang ang sarap ng pumunta at kahit mag-settle sa ibang bansa kasi ang dali rin namang makumusta at mabati yung mga kasama mo sa Pilipinas. Pero kahit ang mama ko noon nag-Germany, I was late 80s ganyan, and it was so baka desperate move na pag ganon. What I'm asking here is, lalo ka na ikaw, Celeste, when you went there, wala ka bang nami-miss dito? Di ba yun mahirap? Di ba nakaka-homesick? Wala ka bang
well,
ganun?
actually, the hardest thing was having to do everything yourself. Which I think people don't realize just how, I mean, I remember on the first months, hindi ka marunong magluto, so, sunog lahat. I would bring a lunchbox to the theater, and it's like, sunog yung rice, sunog yung chicken, ganyan. And it was the boys who actually knew how to cook. So sila yung nagtuturo sa amin. The girls, lahat kami mga prinsipesa, so walang alam. And I remember getting so upset because my hands were, kasi maghuhugas ka ng plato. We're getting all pangit. So, and I remember that my mother, even if there wasn't any maid, she wouldn't let me wash the dishes. So this whole prospect of, having to do everything yourself, akala ng mga tao sa Pilipinas that, living in Europe or in the States, you're earning euros, you're earning whatever, and but you have to do everything yourself. I mean, from cleaning, unless you're really, I mean, I actually went to work so I can afford the cleaning lady. I hated cleaning the house. So it's that for me was one of the hardest things, is adjusting to that. But it is actually very good, because then when I go back to the Philippines, I remember how bad I was, as a child. Binihibihisan ako, or, I mean, I would be in the kitchen, the fridge was behind me, and, instead of me getting up and getting myself some water, I would ask the maid to get me some water. I mean, and now you can't sit there anymore and be served. It doesn't feel right. So it's this whole, what do I miss in the Philippines? I miss the fruits.
Yeah, the fruits.
And the beaches, of course. That's a lot of that. But, I mean, one can go back naman so you have the best of that. But I think I was always an alien in that sense, no? In the Philippines, I was never really seen as the normal Pinay. And I think that's why you say all
Lisa De La Fuente has been participating in our live presentations sa FP, and she said Celesta was ahead of her time. And she also said wholesome. I think this was the time that she was helping me come up with the word I was grouping for, yung propriety. I ended up with mainstream, pero sa kanya baka wholesome. Kailan ba nagsimula maging wholesome? I think she was helping me with that. So nandito, dahil pa. Maricel Montero, go Celeste, explain your side finally. Maricel Montero, yes. And and Nicole Bueno and Dennis Bueno and yes, yung mga yan. So,
are you still acting or singing, or do you have They have something else now in Italy.
Well, actually, okay. So when I came to Italy, I mean, they don't know a lot of musicals here. So, what are you really going to do? I mean, they know Jesus Christ Superstar, and that's about it. And if you do a musical or something, you might be touring, and it's such a short time. So what do? You
do operas. Opera.
Hindi naman ako operatic. Actually, I always fall asleep watching operas. But I did some shows. But it was, it was very small. It felt more like, community theater and all of that. It wasn't up to the standard that I was used to. And then I was asked to direct Vagina Monologues. And that was one, I think, of the highlights of my, directing career. I had 25 women on stage, and not all actors. It was bilingual in English and Italian. And we did it again in 2003 with 15 people. So every now and then, I do get a chance to be on stage as well. My last show was actually in February of right before the pandemic. I was in a show called Camerini by Alessandro Riccio, and he's one of the few actors in Florence, very well known here in Florence, who actually can survive by just being an actor. Well, just being. He does everything. He directs. He does everything. And he had asked us. It was a show about the backstage life of actors, and he wrote that, and we were 14 actors on stage. So that was our last show in 2020 before the pandemic. And
I think of course Italy is different from Germany. Did you have to work while you are in Italy na, or?
Well, that's the thing, no? So after our stint of being in the countryside, I decided to come to Florence to do more theater, but also at the same time to do some work. And I've never really been able to stay at a job in Manila or anything, no? I mean, like in office, I think the longest was like a month or something. It's like talagang, it wasn't for me. But I applied, and I was meant to, present that counts and aristocrats and do wine tasting. So parang they asked me to do that. At the same time, I was a staff of a tour company, one of the most important tour companies in Florence. And then it was just, then there were just two of us. Tapos, the manager left. In 6 months' time, I was managing, teaching the others, and running this whole tour company, which I never really had the background of. But I guess it was just something that I could have easily, because for me, like designing a tour or designing an event or running an office was pretty much for me just directing. You take all the pieces and you try to, make it as such a nice experience for everybody. So it was just
being on stage when you're touring them, or
and also because the office was not your normal office. It was like a big hall, and we were like all there, and guests would come in, so you would greet them, you would speak to them, you would talk to them about their complaints,
because there was wine.
And there was wine.
Your English is like that. You use that English, or paano ba? Italian kasi, di ba? Or
no, it was mostly English. So we were all English.
Hindi ka nagbabago ng accent kasi between American and Italian, there's quite a difference, di ba? Parang may ganun.
Bakit naman ako biglang magkaka-Italian accents?
Anyway, tatanong ko lang kasi it's so how you were nung nasa Pilipinas.
No, but I mean, we were dealing mostly with Americans, English-speaking people. The guides were almost a lot of them were mother English speakers. So you go on with that. So at the same time, I was doing a bit of theater, and again that Vagina Monologues was also again fundraisers. Europa, I keep on doing fundraisers.
So talaga nag-man for others. In fairness naman kay Celeste, masyado siyang misjudge. Siya talaga yung epitome of the profile of the Atenean graduate.
I never really thought of it that way, but
Yeah. So,
why
mga
not?
fundraiser, benefit shows. Yan ang nasa resume mo. Ano ba yun? Para ibig sabihin, sino mas marami ganyan? Mas marami ka pa yata ganyan sa amin. Mga educator, gano'n. So, but anyway, before we leave the topic of theater, sabi ko nga, may isang tanong ako kay Rico last time na sinagot naman niya ng maganda. Ikaw rin kasi, Celeste, alam ko pareho tayo na hindi masyado, no? Na hindi masyado into musical kasi nga ikaw, sinasabihan ka ng nanay mo na hindi ka naman kumakanta, sintonado ka. Ako naman, yun din na sinasabi ng lahat. Hindi lang nanay ko. But anyway, so eventually, tas napunta ka doon. And ako personally, hindi ko lang baka bitterness na lang to, nagkaroon ako ng natural not dislike, pero nahirapan ako mag-appreciate ng musical. Aminin ko na to sa'yo lang, total, hindi mo naman ako awayin, no?
Okay. No.
But my question then was, paano yun? I get yung opera kasi yun talaga yung form, singing. Pero for somebody to act realistically and then suddenly break into song, pero parang hindi na siya performance.
Well, I have you had the chance to watch Passion?
Yes. Because
do
of
you
Rico.
Understand what Rico was saying? That there is no breaking into song.
Yes,
it
exactly.
It just completely flows into that.
Yes.
And that's an excellent example.
Yes.
And
At tama nga siya. Kasi talaga, yung naramdaman mo yun, malamang tama ka. Sabi ni Rico. Talaga nag-break into song kasi bigla. So,
no, because I think more than anything, there's that format. Okay, parang Bollywood, no, break into dance. And there is that format. It depends on the type of musical. Because musicals actually, what is it? It's like modern day opera. Contemporary opera. So if you like operas, you might also, I don't know, if you don't like the music, it's one thing else. But I mean, the great musicals like Les Miserables or
Saigon. It's mga songs.
It doesn't feel like you are breaking into song. And if it does feel like that for you as an actor, then you're not being very effective. Or maybe also the direction is not done very well, or the musical itself was not structured very well. Because what is the most immediate way of communicating an emotion which has an immediate impact is through music.
Yeah.
It says so much in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So what is that music supposed to do? It should prolong or extend or emphasize,
magnify
that feeling.
Yeah.
Which you are supposed to feel through that song.
Yeah.
So if it feels off to you, there might be something wrong, no, with the structure of it or whatever, or it was meant to be like that.
So I guess it's also like a different kind of singing and acting pag nasa music.
Yeah, it depende because there are musicals that was meant to be like that. I mean, one of my favorites is Rent, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been able to watch Tick Tick Boom with Andrew Garfield. I mean, Andrew Garfield never sang, Ron, may pag-asa ka pa, never really sang before that. And he was amazing. And, so a good actor-singer will be able to lead you into that song without making you feel like off. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
that I think as an actor, you should be able to convey that. And if it's a good musical, if it's a good piece, you should be able to.
There's a musical that you would like to direct, Celeste. What is there one that you?
Well, I want to do Passion, for example.
Oh, talaga.
Passion for me, if I could do that role. That is such a hard piece to be sung and also to act.
Celeste, can I have the first dip on your life? We'll make it into a musical.
Oo, kasi nagsusulat din to ng musical. Ang title, Bueno.
Bueno. Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. So, but Yeah, it's 5:49 pero from yung touring ano mo sa Italy, let's get to the future. Ano bang pangarap ng
magkaroon ng points yung tourism dito sa Pilipinas? What are the things that you needed to do differently because of the pandemic or
here in Florence?
yes.
Okay. So now I actually run Plugging Bigla, Unusual Tourist. I'm the operations manager of Unusual Tourist, and we only do private groups privately, which actually goes hand in hand with
the name is Unusual
Tourist.
It's so Celeste. Unusual Tourist. Sige. Please proceed. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's that. No, everything is customized. So, if you're a family or you are a company that you're wanting to, do an incentive, for example, for your best, whatever, we'll design something for you. And I always make it a point to understand what your interests are and try to keep you, in a certain way of traveling, which is, and I think this is where travel is going anyway, is to go private, because one thing that was also kind of sad in Florence, it got so with mass tourism, with all the cruise ships coming in and all the big buses coming in. And it's like you feel Florence of 20 years ago, 25 years ago was so different from the Florence it is now. So parang, wow, it's consumism. So it was kind of sad. So actually, the pandemic kind of put a bit of a halt on that, and I think people should then rethink to travel in a certain way. It's not necessary for you to go and see all the places you need in a short period of time. Because the beauty of Italy is that they have so much in terms of art, of culture, of landscapes, of seascapes, of mountains. They have everything.
So you're based in Italy, but your unusual tours is buong Italy. In Florence. Nasa Florence ka, pero yung unusual tours is all over Italy.
Yes, we do the whole of Italy. From Milan all the way to Sicily, to Venice, to we do the whole of Italy. But we also cross into France, or we cross also into Spain. So it depends on what.
Celesta, I can do this on my own, but nandito ka na rin lang. Di pa ako nakapunta sa Italy. Bakit? Ba't ako pupunta ng Italy? Dami ko pa din napupuntahan. Ba't ko unahin ang Italy?
Because Italy, like I said, has everything. Filipinos love food, which is exactly the same with Italians. They have such a wide variety. It's not just pizza and pasta or whatever. Yes, it's also that, but it's more than just that. And depending from where you're coming as well, it has also such a wide variety. In terms of art, oh my God, I don't think there is a bigger concentration of art than in Italy, coming from the Vatican to Florence and all. It's like, wow, and it's mind blowing. It's like you stand there in awe. That is what you do, In terms of the culture, they're actually very close to the Filipino culture of family. And
so talagang may affinity yung mga Filipino at Italians.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. They gather around food as well. For them, food is one of the most important things, also with wine. So, if you're a wine lover, hello.
Marami akong kilala Filipino nagtutour dyan para dun sa parang pilgrimage, yung religious pilgrimage. So isa yun sa mga customizations na ginagawa nyo kung yun ang type nila. Ano pang iba?
Yes, there's also that. We also have, because of the Via Francigena, it's the way actually all the way from England down to Rome and to the south. So you can do that. We do walking tours, more hiking tours and that. There's just so much. And also because Italy has everything. They have the Dolomites, which are the mountains, which are amazingly beautiful. And then the cities, the small towns. There's nothing more quaint than going to a small town and just seeing how they live there. And you just sit there at a cafe and just, that is one of the, the good things of Italy. So yes, please do come.
Yeah.
Will and don't go through it like you are going through. Give yourself some time. Enjoy it.
Of course, a lot of countries will sell their countries, no? Pero for a Filipino to ask Filipinos, punta kayo rito, maganda rito. Oh. Parang ganun yung dating. Lalo na si Celesta.
No, and a lot of, and one thing actually, because of the history is so rich, I will say this, no? It is quite important for you to see this, some of the, like if you go to a museum, to go with a good guide, or even the cities. Because it's one thing looking at beautiful things, but if somebody gives you a good context of what you're seeing, you really see it with different eyes. And I only found that out when I started working for a tour company, because it's the first time I did a tour. I've been coming to Florence many, many years, just enjoying coffee, ganyan, but never really understood. And Unusual Tourist has the best guides.
Yeah.
By the way, in terms of future, one of the things that Unusual Tourist did, or I did also during the pandemic, was compile stories of women under lockdown from all over the world. It's called Corona Monologues. And so we've been posting this on Facebook since the beginning of the pandemic. Some are quite amazing stories of women during this period. And I think I can say now that the end point of that is to stage it eventually. And I'm hoping for the 8th of March, which is Women's Day in 2022 at Tasso Hostel, which will be live streamed. So right now I need to compile all of these monologues, make something out of it, make a theatrical piece out of it, and live stream it. And it is, again, also a fundraiser for Patamama, which is a non-profit organization in the Philippines that helps women who are putting up their own businesses, but they're the breadwinners of the family. So because during this pandemic, they have no support.
Women has always been your with women's advocacies and
yes, I guess
so is theater. Kahit sabihin natin lagi may theater, maliit man o malaki, it's constant, no? Yeah. So itong monologues, ito from Italian women, from Filipina in Italy.
No, it's from women from all over the world.
All over the world.
Canada, from the UK.
So paano yun? Paano mo yan na ipon? Tumawag ka sa kanila or meron ka isang...
I made a call out. We have a Facebook page, Corona Monologues. I can link you to that. And there are all the different stories of women. We actually started off with a mother in Greece who was a journalist, and she was helping the immigrants in Lesbos in Greece, and found out that her daughter in Canada got COVID, and the desperation and the heartbreak of not being able to fly to her and help her. I mean, amazing stories. I mean, it's not all nakakaiyak. Some are funny, some are, actually Lisa, which I'm just about to, she also contributed to something. So I still need to post her thing. It's a good feeling to be amongst your tribe of women who are and just support each other, because before the Me Too movement, I had always been supportive of women and the struggles of women. And I've had my struggles being an alien in the Philippines and an alien in wherever I am.
Susulat natin yung musical ng Buhay.
Hindi pa tapos ang buhay ko.
Celeste, tungkol sa future talaga, no? Saang parte ka fulfilled at ano pa ang mga pursuits mo? So yung dalawang bagay na, ano pa mga pursuits mo in the future? Mga dreams mo? At ano pa, saan ka naman, why do you feel fulfilled? Yung dalawang yun, pagtabihin mo na lang yung sagot mo doon.
Well, to tell you honestly, I don't think too much into the future. I've never really, pag ganyan, gusto ko ganyan in 10 years time, or I've never really programmed my life. I've gone with the flow, wherever it took me.
Wow, that is the irony of the day. I've gone with the flow from Celeste Bueno. Statement of the day. I've gone with, of course, that's true, no? But nakakatawa. Nakakatawa na yun. Sa dulo ng lahat ng sinabi mo at lahat ng nakita namin tungkol sa'yo, I go with the flow pala.
Yeah, I mean, you go where life takes you. You grab the opportunities when it's there. You also seek it when it comes. When you want something in the immediate moment. But, we are always changing. It doesn't say that you're 50-something. I mean, look at all these, big actors now. Sila John Alcilia, sila John Briones. I mean, they didn't get their break until they were in their 50s. So you can't really tell. And it's just a matter of, I guess, being open and not thinking too much, because if you overthink and you plan too much, one thing, you might get disappointed. Two, I think this one thing that the pandemic has taught everybody, it's like, you can plan all you want, but you got this virus that just stops everything. But if you are not in a mindset of thinking too much into the future and staying at the moment, then you have an easier way of adapting to things and having a better outlook, I think. So what's in store in the future? I have no idea, and I have no plans, actually. It might not be good for some people, but,
Sart na sart. Napaka-existentialist. Joke lang. Yung parang, baka mamaya yan pa makadismaya sa'yo, yung mga plano mo.
We're always changing. We're constantly changing. I mean, if you're not changing, then that's kind of sad. And there's a lot of things one learns about oneself, even now and even later. So I can't tell. Hopefully I will still be doing theater, because that is one thing that has been constant throughout my life.
We're glad that you're
even
still
if I traveled.
Yes. Maganda yung Corona Monologues, ha? Grabe.
It's
parang yun din talaga yung parang buong kwento ng buhay mo, from Vagina Monologues, ngayon Corona Monologues. Anyway, hindi mo kasalanan to, Celeste. Nasa dulo na tayo, no? Ito na rin ang last show namin. So meron ka bang Christmas or Yuletide or New Year message sa mga nakikinig sa atin before we end?
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this Christmas wish to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you.
Wow! Ganda naman nun, Celeste.
Grazie mille.
Parang
Inaga.
nakapanood tayo ng Celeste suddenly, no? Sa ating interview sa kanya. Thank you very much, Celeste.
Thank you, Celeste.
Talagang.
And I wish everybody a fabulous new year. Let's hope 2022 is an even better year for everyone.
Thank you, Sir. Salamat. Maligayang Pasko po at manigong bagong taon sa mga nakikinig sa amin. At sa iyo rin, Sir Jovi.
Sir Ron?
Magpapahinga muna ang Lundagin Mo, Beybeh, ng mga 2 o 3 linggo. Tapos, pabalik tayo sa Enero para sa bagong sigla.
Thank you for
Salamat.
inviting me.
Ang finale natin ay si Miss Celeste. Very fitting. para sa paputok. Okay? Na nakakapagpasaya at nakakaliwanag.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much. Sige. At thank you. Thank you po. Hanggang sa susunod. Yeah.
Meron nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo! Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Jescom Music Ministry, your daily dose of inspiration. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. We are also on iTunes and Deezer.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Getting reliable